We got one person doing the scheduling. We got one person ordering the materials. We got one person doing the next job. And it's really streamlined a lot of things so that they could take ownership over all of those little projects. It's like, there's so many little moving pieces that if someone doesn't own it, it slips through the cracks, right? And I mean, like, when we talk about like the bigger deal, it's the same thing. Like, I'm really good at construction, so I focus on that.
Welcome to the How to Scale Commercial Real Estate Show. Whether you are an active or passive investor, we'll teach you how to scale your real estate investing business into something big.
Oliver Fernandez is a business owner and real estate investor that has successfully completed over $80 million worth of construction projects, and he has accumulated a real estate investment portfolio valued at over $150 million over the last 9 years. Oliver, welcome to the show.
Appreciate you, Sam. Excited to be here with you.
Hey, man, pleasure's mine. There are 3 questions I ask every guest who comes on the show in 90 seconds or less. Can you tell me, where did you start? Where are you now? And how did you get there?
Where did I start? So I grew up in Maine. I lived with my mom and 3 sisters, graduated, went to college, got a job, thought I would really enjoy engineering, realized that I couldn't make the type of money that I needed to make to be able to take care of my mom and 3 sisters. So I then decided to get into real estate. And one of the reasons why I decided to get into real estate is my uncle died 10 years before I went away to school. But I saw that real estate take care of his son for those next 10 years. And I was like, man, I really got to get into something like that. And I got into real estate. My first thing into real estate was being an agent. I was running around showing people all these rental units. And at the end of the year, I'm always really reflective at the end of the year. And I realized, wow, I just put all these tenants in here for all of these landlords, and I still got to go out and make money. But now they're still continuing to make money from the tenants that are in there. So I was like, I got to switch this drip here and start buying apartments and getting the ownership side of things. So then I started buying apartments. Went from converting single family homes into duplexes, triplexes, and quads, and then got into 100+ unit properties, and now we're at over 1,200 units and continuing to grow.
Man, that's awesome. And that's on the active real estate side, but you also own a construction company. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so we do construction for the Navy, the Air Force. We focus on like the $1 to $5 million projects for them. We go in and we'll do like a renovation of an office space, or like they're past an ID office. So we'll be doing, mechanical, updating the bathrooms, flooring, ceilings. We'll paint the walls. And then at the end of the day, they have a finalized product. And one of the things that I really like about the construction business is that I've been able to take the skills that I've learned in doing construction for someone else to do it for myself, right, and for my team members and my investors. And we've been able to, juice returns because of that.
Tell me, is there anything outside of construction for the Air Force, in the Navy? Do you have your hands in any other businesses?
Yeah, so we also do. It all started honestly with multifamily real estate. Once you really get into the numbers and you start to really understand profit and loss statements, T12s and the financial side of it, you really start to understand like how businesses are valued. So last year we made an acquisition of a flooring store, which is still construction, in New Hampshire. And also through the multifamily space, I understood how to like structure deals, and so the way I structured that deal was, one of my childhood friends, he'd been working for this flooring store for the last 5 years, and the owner wanted to sell. He was 60+ years old, wanted to get out, move on to the next phase of his life. Where my friend was like, wanted more for himself, wanted more for his family, wanted more for the organization. And he brought that opportunity to me. So we structured it in a way where he would handle all the operations. I would still be involved from like a mastermind standpoint. Like I would help the strategy of the business, where it was going, how things would be executed, just because I had been in business before. I had already completed $80 million worth of construction. I knew the things to work on and the things to focus our energy on. So we bought that business at the beginning of 2021, and we grew it from a $5 million business to $8 million. And this year we're on target for $15 million.
Wow. You've tripled the volume in gosh, just a couple short years, it sounds like. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, and and that's not an insignificant flooring company. I mean, it sounds like you guys are doing mostly commercial work through that flooring store then.
It's interesting. So with the side that I do the $1 to $5 million projects for the general construction business, we're doing probably, 5 to 8 jobs a year, right? Whereas that flooring business, their average job size is $7,500. So it's a high volume. We're doing like hundreds of jobs, all the time. So it's a crazy business, but we found a way to, through all of like my learnings in business, how to align the team and get the team working on this thing and moving it in the right direction. Cause just like with multifamily real estate, when you have a lot of units, when you have a lot of activity, you can't do it all on your own. And that was one of the things that I promised myself when I first got into multifamily real estate. What really excited me about it was that the opportunity was big enough where I could have 10 people working on one problem, and we could just be really good at that one. And everybody could be really good at one thing and all come together and be able to add value to create something bigger than we could have all created by ourselves.
Right. And how do you take that? Cause that flies kind of in the face. And I'll tell you, I used to own a flooring company and own a flooring store. So I know the challenges intimately. And I think our biggest year was maybe a $4 million year. If your average job size is $7,500, you can't swing the team, the 10 members going towards solving that one unique problem. So how do those two differ? And then how do you solve each of those problems, individually?
What we've done really good with at the flooring store is, we got really good at like having everybody do it and being really good at one thing. So like we have a person that does all of our schedule. Prior to that, like everybody was doing their own schedule. So it was like everybody was moving in 100 different directions. So we've like focusing it. We got one person doing the schedule. We got one person ordering the materials. We got one person doing the next job. And it's really streamlined a lot of things so that they could take ownership over all of those little projects. It's like there's so many little moving pieces that if someone doesn't own it, it slips through the cracks, right? And I mean, like when we talk about like the bigger deal, it's the same thing. Like I'm really good at construction. So I focus on that. Like we bought a 152 unit down in Atlanta, Georgia, and that property had 30 down units. That was my entryway into multifamily real estate because I had partners that were really good at, finding deals, being able to raise the money. And I was really good at, the construction part. So we all came together and then they saw how much value I was able to add to the group, and they didn't have to babysit me. All of the things that we want from our team members. I did everything I said I was going to do. I showed up with a good attitude. All of those things I was doing. And then it's like, how can we do more projects together? And then we went to the next one and the next one and the next one. And now we're just continuing to grow and scale and build off of the foundation we've set.
30 down units is quite a bit. What gave you the confidence that you could turn that 152 units into something worth owning? I guess when you go into it and you're 20% of the asset is down.
Yeah, no. Well, like when you understand like the way the real estate's valued, you got your income minus your expenses and divided by the cap rate, right? So I understand that. And then you realize, okay, well, there's 30 down units. If I can get all of a sudden all of that income drop, then we're going to increase the value dramatically. So I built the confidence in being able to do those 30 units while I was doing the single family properties and converting them into duplexes and triplexes. We had a tenant that moved into one of our units, and the first day he moved into it, I remember my wife calling me because she was handling all like the leasing stuff. And she's like, they got water in the basement. And that feeling when your heart just like literally goes into your stomach and you're like, oh crap. And you're hoping these people don't like get so pissed and they move off. And then I get there and he has this big smile on his face. And I was actually happy that he wasn't pissed off. And like, cause I knew internally that we were going to take care of this situation. We were going to figure it out and clean it up. But I just didn't want to have to deal with like angry tenants and all that stuff. Right. So what we did is we ended up, tearing all the walls down and putting this waterproofing shield up that tied into a trench drain that ran around the perimeter of the basement, so that even if the water did come through the bricks, it would hit this vapor barrier and go down. And we did that on that property, and it was a really tough pill to swallow, because it was like a $20,000 bill on top of all of the other construction stuff that we had going on at the time at that property. And it was at the very end, so we thought we were just at the point where we were going to start making money, and then all of a sudden we had this big hit. But that same lesson was the same exact lesson that I used on that 152 unit building, because 15 of those 30 down units actually had water issues. So those water issues were solved through the exact same process. We put a vapor barrier up, the water would come through the foundation, hit the vapor barrier, then go into our trench drain and get pumped out. So we were able to do that and get those units back online within the first year. And then all of a sudden, there was now 15 units producing $1,000 a month, dropping right to the bottom line, and increased value tremendously that first year.
Right. Yeah. 15,000 a month. Quick math says what? 180 grand, right? That's gross revenue increase. That's pretty substantial, on any property. And even at a 10 cap, you just added $1.8 million to the value of the property. So I'm sure it traded for something different than that. So that's really, really cool. I love that. Yeah, you got your hands in a lot of different things, with your hands in the flooring business, with your hands in the construction company, with your hands in acquiring and running multifamily properties. How do you keep it all, moving in a unified direction? Is there any one of those businesses that you're ever afraid is going to suffer because you're not paying attention to it?
Yeah. So that's a really, really good point. And I'm a big believer of focus and attention, and that was why I loved multifamily real estate, because you could do it with partners, right? You could do it with people that also were high level people that were A players in their own right. And instead of oftentimes, when you're in the single family game, when I was renovating those single and duplex, triplex properties, it was okay, how do I squeeze the most out of this little grade? And the reason why I needed to do that is because there wasn't enough to go around for everybody. Well, at least that's what I thought at the moment, right?
Right.
And, where these multifamily properties, you can have a team, right? So I'm not doing everything for those multifamily properties. I have a team that handles, the investors. I have other people on the team that are handling, the loan, you know what I mean? But one thing that I do handle is the construction side of it. So it's I've carved out the construction portion of all of these things where can come in and still add value, and honestly invest in these things myself too. I make money from the construction side, and I funnel all that money into real estate. So now I'm kind of guiding that money as well, through income replacement and building wealth. And so the focus comes through my partners, right? So I can only focus on one thing at a time, but I've put really good partners around me that also are really good at what they're doing, and they can move the ball forward without me having to be involved in everything. And they have the same, they're putting money on the line. We're all aligned in how we're operating together. So it really allows you to scale. When you really think about it, Jeff Bezos has his hand in a lot of different businesses, and he's not doing everything on his own. He has a team. Same thing with Elon Musk. He's involved in a lot of different businesses. He's involved in Tesla. He's involved in SpaceX, but he has a team, and he's leaning into the team, and the opportunity is big enough to attract good team members where you're not having to babysit people all the time.
Right, man. I love it. And that's it. It's a team sport. And I think you've hit on it several times, just in the sense that one of the reasons we love multifamily or love commercial real estate is because, like you said, we're not squeezing that one little grape trying to get juice for everybody. It's hey man, there's enough here that we can bring in the right team members and build the right team and pay everybody well and not worry about it. And that's a unique, I think something unique in commercial real estate. And it's true in a lot of businesses, but particularly in commercial real estate where the numbers the numbers have enough zeros at the end of it to where you can actually do that. Tell me, what is your ultimate goal when you think about your portfolio, when you think about business? Where do you want it to go, and when will you know that you've gotten there?
It's such an interesting question. And I honestly, I really appreciate you asking it because it gets you thinking. So for me personally, I want to be there for my kids. I have a daughter who's 2 years, 3 months, and I have a son that's 3 months. And I'm so grateful for all of the stuff that I put in place so that I can bring them to school to every day, and during the week. So I really enjoy that. I get so much pleasure out of that. So I want to just continue to be there for my family, my kids, my wife. She has her own business, so I love being able to support her. And honestly, you take any strategies that I might know, and hey, maybe this will work in your business. And then next thing you know, she's implementing it in her business, and then she's getting massive results. And she's very, very successful, and she puts in the work and she puts in the energy that's required to be successful. So, kudos to her for all that. And then, from a standpoint, I really want to, impact 1 million people personally, professionally, and financially through real estate and construction. And, in the beginning, when I first started out and got into real estate and construction, I was just trying to figure out a way to survive and take care of myself. And then it was like, how do I take care of my family? And then as I continue to move down the path and really opening my eyes and thinking bigger about what the real opportunity was there, I'm like, wow, yeah, we could help so many people that we do construction for and we provide housing for. But then at the same time, I'm leading a team of people that I can help them as well. And it's just like, it's so inspiring. It wakes me up every morning to not only to just to show up for Oliver, but to also show up for them and to continue to show them and help them develop the skill set to be able to win in the real world. Because it's not easy to do, it's not, but like if you get around the right people that show you how to win and show you how to get results, you can start duplicating it. And once you duplicate it in the business field, you duplicate it in your life, your personal life, and in financial life. And then all of a sudden you start winning in all these areas that you never thought were even possible for you.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. Very, very good. Yeah, I like the idea that results are contagious. Like, it doesn't matter which way it is. If the people you're around, the results, and the people you're around are negative and not good, those results are contagious. But to your point, when you surround yourself with people who are doing awesome stuff as well, those results as well are contagious. So that's cool, and I love your thinking.
I'll give you a definite number on the target though. So from a unit standpoint, I've always looked up to Sam Zell and Barry Sternlick, and those guys have over 100,000 units. So I'm setting the target big, man. That's where I'm headed.
Wow, that's amazing. Go for it. I look forward to tracking your progress here, Oliver. You're doing some cool stuff. You've made you made some really awesome points here today, just about partnerships, on how to grow companies, how to be involved in multiple industries, and yet at the same time be able to stay focused without sacrificing on any of those individual businesses you've talked about. Building teams and really putting in processes and stuff around you, such that you can do the things that you do. So. Really love it. Appreciate it. And thank you for taking the time to come on today. If our listeners want to get in touch with you or learn more about you, what is the best way to do that?
The best way to get in touch with me would be to reach out to me on www.investwitholiver.com, and we could stay connected that way. And really appreciate your time. I do want to leave with one little thing, and that is when I was at 12 units, I never in my wildest dreams ever thought I would be able to have 1,200 plus units.
Right.
So it's like, it's so possible. Now I'm sitting here saying that we're going to get to 100,000 units. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'm willing to put the time, the energy, find the resources, build with the right team members to be able to go and do that. And you're one of them, man. And I'm excited to be connecting with you today.
Awesome. Thank you, Oliver. I certainly appreciate your time.